The story opens in remote mountain ranges, where an unusual boy named Krog lives together with his family. Krog is far from an ordinary child. He holds a unique power that allows him to shift into an animal. Most of the time, he remains in the body of a puma. He is able to take human form, but his family strongly dislikes when he does it too often. There is one firm rule that controls his life. He must never go anywhere near humans. His family is convinced that humans are dangerous. Because of this, they stay isolated, hidden deep within the mountain. However, as Krog gets older, his curiosity continues to grow. He begins asking himself, what are humans actually like? Why do we stay away from them? One day, Krog finally decides to break the rule. He leaves his family behind and enters the human world. Shortly after, a kind couple discovers him. They assume he is simply a missing child. Feeling pity for him, they choose to take him in. Krog now finds himself with a new human family, a safe home, and even brothers and sisters. In the beginning, everything seems completely normal. One morning, while eating breakfast with his new family, Krog watches the news on television. The report is alarming. There have been unusual animal incidents, creatures acting in strange ways, along with accidents involving different kinds of animals. Nobody can explain why this is happening. Krog starts to feel uncomfortable. Something about it feels familiar to him. Later that same day, Krog gets ready for his first day at a new school. He says goodbye to his adoptive father and sibling. Then he gets into the car with his adoptive mother, Anna. His sister Melody suddenly decides to join them as well. She doesn't want to miss the trip. While they are driving along the road, Krog notices something odd. Two dark crows are flying directly above the car. They don't fly away. Instead, they keep following them the entire time. Krog keeps staring at them without stopping. A question forms in his mind. Could they be like me? Could they also be shapeshifters? As evening arrives, the family stops at a small hotel to rest for the night. Krog hopes the uneasy feeling will disappear, but it remains. Late during the night, a strange sound suddenly wakes him up. He slowly walks toward the window and looks outside. What he sees leaves him shocked. A group of wolves is sprinting down the street, moving quickly toward a dark alley. At the exact same time, the lights in the building across the street suddenly shut off. Krog's heart begins to pound rapidly. He immediately realizes that this is not normal. The next morning, the family continues their journey. After driving for many hours, they finally arrive at their destination, Clearwater High School. The moment Krog steps out of the car, he suddenly stops moving. The same two crows that followed them the whole journey are standing nearby, but now they appear as students. In that instant, Krog understands that his suspicion was correct all along. Before he gets the chance to react, the school principal, Lisa, approaches them with a friendly smile. She greets Krog warmly and then looks at Anna with interest. She asks, "Where did you find him?" Anna gently begins to explain everything. She says that no information was ever known about Krog's real parent. Many years ago, while working as a social worker, she received a call about a child in danger. When she discovered Krog, he was frightened and shaking badly. She couldn't just leave him there, so she brought him home and later convinced her husband. As Krog grew up, when it was time for middle school, Anna received a letter. She believed that this school would finally help him adjust and build friendships. After listening to her story, Lisa nods with a smile. Then she asks to speak privately with Krog. Once they step away from everyone else, Lisa reveals the truth to him. In this school, every student is a shapeshifter. Krog no longer needs to hide who he is. For the very first time in his life, he feels like he truly belongs somewhere. But before he can fully understand everything, the school alarm suddenly starts ringing. Lisa quickly runs outside to see what is going on. That's when she notices something concerning. Anna and Melody are calmly walking through a restricted section of the school. She is clearly not pleased. Lisa immediately instructs her assistant to escort them off the campus right away. Back inside the building, Krog is completely amazed. This is the first time he has ever seen so many shapeshifters gathered in one place. As he walks through the corridors, he suddenly bumps into Jeffrey and his group. The atmosphere instantly becomes tense. They all stare at each other, and it feels like a fight could begin at any second before anything can happen. James steps in and stops the situation. Shortly after, the school organizes an official welcome event. Once it finishes, Anna hugs Krog and says goodbye. She and Melody head back to the car just as Andrew arrives. Andrew is a wealthy and influential man. He is the one who financially supports the entire school. Krog meets Andrew soon after. During their conversation, Krog shares something personal. He explains that he left the mountains because he believed life had more to offer than just living as a Puma. If he had stayed there forever, he would never have discovered his true identity. Later, Krog reaches his dorm room. Lisa explains the main school rule and then leaves him by himself. Suddenly, a small squirrel appears at his window. Krog lets it come inside and quickly realizes it isn't an ordinary animal. It turns out to be Holly. She has been assigned as his guide and will assist him during his first transformation class. In class, the teacher gives a strict warning. Students are only allowed to use their abilities during lessons, and most importantly, humans must never witness their transformations. Then Krog is selected to demonstrate his ability in front of the class. But just before he can do it, Brandon steps forward. Brandon is a bison shapeshifter. He transforms into his animal form, but cannot remain human for very long. He quickly loses control, creating chaos inside the classroom. Watching this, Krog begins to doubt himself. He feels disconnected from his animal side and chooses not to transform. With Lisa's guidance, Krog slowly begins to recall his past. He sees memories of himself running freely through the forest, alongside his real family. Those memories affect him deeply. That emotional connection awakens something inside him. Finally, Krog transforms. At that moment, the principal tells everyone else in the room to transform as well. That's when Krog understands the truth. Most of the students here are wolves. Lisa explains his true purpose. At this school, he will learn how to balance both his human and animal sides. One day, he may even become a bridge between the two worlds. Later that evening, Krog rests in his room, trying to absorb everything. Suddenly, Brandon appears. He casually tells him that he is now his roommate. Not long. Shortly after, Holly knocks on the door and tells them it's time for dinner. In the cafeteria, Krog meets Dorian, a boy who can transform into a cat. Dorian shares his story. Before arriving at the school, he lived as a pet with a human family. Everything went normally until they discovered him opening a can of sardines using his hand. After Krog revealed his animal form, many students started respecting him, though some also became fearful. For the more timid students, simply being near him feels intimidating. A small boy who can turn into a tiny horse tries to stay hidden, but he accidentally runs into Jeffrey and his wolf pack. The situation quickly turns dangerous. Krog does not hesitate and steps in to protect the boy. This only makes things more intense. The wolves try to intimidate him, but James arrives just in time and stops the conflict. That night, Krog dreams about his family, but a sudden loud crash wakes him up. Brandon has transformed during sleep and completely destroyed his bed. Brandon laughs it off and says it happens once or twice every week. Krog realizes that his nights here may not be as peaceful as he expected. The next day during combat class, Brandon and Borda are chosen to fight, but Brandon refuses. He explains that he follows a pacifist approach and walks away. The teacher then selects Krog. Krog still doubts himself. Seeing this, Andrew steps in and gives him a small pouch. Inside is Puma urine. The moment Krog smells it, something activates inside him. He transforms instantly. Even though Borda is much larger, Krog moves faster, hits harder, and fights with strong determination. In the end, he wins the match. Next, it's Dorian's turn, but the strong smell from his opponent causes the cat to run away, giving up the fight. At the end of the class, Andrew approaches Krog. Impressed by his performance, he offers to become his mentor. To show his trust, Andrew even gives Krog the pouch of Puma urine, saying the boy has a bright future ahead. However, someone is not happy about this. Jeffrey watches everything from a distance. Seeing the school's sponsor favor a new student makes him jealous, so he challenges Krog. Jeffrey promises that if Krog can defeat the wolves in a duel, they will leave him alone forever. Later that afternoon, Krog meets his friends in the treehouse and tells them everything. Brandon is worried and warns him that fighting could lead to expulsion. But Krog has had enough of the insults. He refuses to back down. Holly promises to stand by his side, and although Brandon feels nervous, he admits he is eager to see the wolves finally get what they deserve. That night, the three of them secretly leave the dorms. Before leaving, Krog smells the pouch to awaken his animal instincts and transforms. When they arrive at the duel location, Krog asks who he will be fighting. That's when he realizes the truth: it's a trap. Not just two wolves, but Jeffrey and his entire pack are waiting. Still, Krog does not run. He may be stronger than each of them one-on-one, but the wolves attack together. They ambush him from behind and overwhelm him at once. Seeing Krog in danger, Holly pushes Brandon off a cliff, forcing him to jump down and join the fight. While Brandon distracts the pack, Krog fights back with everything he has. In the end, the wolves are forced to retreat. Jeffrey is defeated. The next morning, James notices several injured students and sends them directly to the infirmary. Their explanations are weak, and it is clear they were involved in a fight during the night. Just as Krog is about to be called by the principal, something unexpected happens. Andrew invites him to go for a drive. During the ride, Krog realizes that Andrew already knows what took place. Andrew explains the truth. A real Puma should not have needed help, even against 4 wolves. Because Krog left his real family too early, he never learned how to hunt. So Andrew decides to train him and shape him into a true predator. When they return, Lisa stops them. She angrily forbids Andrew from giving Krog any special treatment. She also warns Krog directly that if he wants to stay at the school, he must follow the rules and never fight outside of class again. Later, Holly and Brandon rush to check on him. That's when Krog notices Lou walking toward the forest and decides to follow her. Together, they overhear teachers discussing the recent animal attacks. They are certain that shapeshifters are behind them. If humans discover the truth, peace between. Lisa strongly forbids Andrew from giving Krog any form of special treatment. She directly warns Krog that if he wants to remain at the school, he must obey the rules and avoid fighting outside of class under any circumstances. Later, Holly and Brandon quickly come to check on him. At that moment, Krog notices Lou walking toward the forest and decides to follow her. Together, they overhear teachers discussing the recent animal attacks. They are certain that shapeshifters are responsible. If humans discover the truth, the peace between the two worlds will come to an end. That is why Lisa and the council must stop these attacks at all costs. On their way back, Krog reveals something important. During his road trip, he witnessed wolves attacking humans in a nearby town. He is convinced that it was Jeffrey's pack. The next day, Andrew keeps his promise and takes Krog into the forest. There, he begins teaching him how to hunt. First, select the prey, then observe it carefully, and finally strike at the correct moment. Krog succeeds and manages to catch a deer. They share the meal together. While returning, Andrew opens up about his past. He once had a daughter. If she had survived, she would be around Krog's age today. Later, during recess, Lou notices that Krog is not eating. He tells her that he already hunted earlier that morning. Hearing this, Lou becomes quiet and walks away. She recalls the day a puma attacked her mother, leaving her severely injured. Feeling guilty, Krog follows her into the forest, trying to make amends, but he is unable to catch up. That night, Krog hears howls outside his window. It is Jeffrey's pack. Feeling suspicious, he follows them to the nearest town. There, he sees the wolves scare away a guard and sneak into a factory. Just as he is about to confront them, the wolves turn against him. However, before any fight can begin, Andrew appears. He immediately stops the situation, orders the wolves into the car, and drives them all back to the school. Afterward, Andrew asks Krog to stay behind alone with him. That is when the truth finally comes out. Andrew admits that he is the one responsible for the recent animal attacks. Hearing this deeply shocks Krog. He feels betrayed and realizes that he may have never truly trusted Andrew to begin with. Andrew then opens up about his past. Many years ago, his wife and young daughter were killed by a hunter in the forest. Since that moment, Andrew has carried deep anger toward humans. He believes that humans have dominated nature, destroyed habitats, and pushed many species toward extinction. For 50 years, the school council tried to guide humans to protect nature, but their efforts failed. Things only continued to worsen. As a result, Andrew decided to take matters into his own hands. During dinner, a woman arrives to serve food. Krog notices that she has a mechanical leg. Andrew explains that she is a snake shapeshifter who was injured in a car accident while in animal form. At that point, Andrew invites Krog to join his plan. Krog refuses, stating that he does not want anyone to get hurt. Andrew responds that he does not intend to kill humans. Instead, he aims to destroy their machine and slow down projects that harm animal habitats. Krog says he will think about it and agrees to keep the matter secret for now. The following morning, Krog helps Brandon train in the forest. The bison runs uncontrollably, crashing through trees. Suddenly, Brandon is struck by a car. The vehicle belongs to Krog's adoptive parents, who have come to visit him. Panicked, Krog rushes over and invites them inside to conceal what has just happened. Inside his room, Anna notices a squirrel digging through Krog's belongings. The principal quickly reprimands her, reminding her that visits must follow strict guidelines. Before leaving, Anna tells Krog that she will stay in a nearby town for the weekend and invites him to join her. Krog happily agrees. Later, Andrew calls Krog and invites him to a special event scheduled for the same weekend. Krog declines and clearly states that he does not support harming humans. Andrew ends the call without saying anything further. Feeling uneasy, Krog goes into the forest to clear his mind and practice his transformations. Hours later, Wing finds him and expresses concern. Suddenly, a drone appears in the sky. Wing immediately recognizes it as belonging to a hunter, and tracking dogs have already been released. Krog runs and hides in the treetops, but the drone continues to follow him. To protect him, Wing destroys the drone and tells Krog to keep moving. After a long escape, Krog finally collapses from exhaustion. At that moment, Shadow, one of the Crow girls, appears and throws him clothes so he can return to human form. With the help of his friends, Krog manages to return toward the school, but just before reaching the campus, he loses consciousness. Andrew discovers him and brings him to his home to recover. When Krog wakes up, he tells Andrew about the hunter. A troubling thought crosses his mind. What if the same tragedy that happened to Andrew's family also happened to his real family? That fear changes everything. Krog decides to support Andrew's plan and joins his cause. Before their first mission, Andrew reveals a surprising truth. He has already sent shapeshifters to search for Krog's real family. If they are still alive, he promises they will locate them. Shortly after, Krog receives a call from Anna. She cancels their planned weekend trip, saying she has an urgent appointment. At the same time, Brandon and Holly arrive, concerned about him. They try to speak with Krog, but he has already begun distancing himself from them. Soon after, Krog leaves with Andrew and the others toward the mining site. Upon arrival, Andrew divides the group. Krog is assigned to scare forest animals away from the area, while Jeffrey and the wolves are tasked with forcing workers out to ensure no one gets harmed. At first, Krog drives away a few rabbits, but then he is struck with sudden fear. He realizes his adoptive parents are camping nearby. Alarmed, Krog immediately contacts Andrew. Andrew calmly responds that he has seen them from a distance in the valley and assures him they are safe. Still, Krog senses that something is not right. Meanwhile, the wolves frighten the workers so severely that they flee in a truck. As soon as the humans leave, Derrick climbs into the vehicle to release the stacked logs. Krog pleads with him to stop, warning that if the logs fall, his family could be in danger.
At that moment, Brandon and Holly arrive to support Krog, raising the tension further. Suddenly, Shadow and Wing appear overhead, flying above the scene. The wolves panic, fearing exposure or expulsion, and quickly abandon the mission and flee. Lou then steps forward and tries to reason with Derrick, explaining that destroying everything will only provoke a stronger response from humans. However, Derrick refuses to listen and pushes Lou aside. This angers the crows, who immediately attack him. In response, Derrick transforms into a grizzly bear. Brandon steps in to protect his friends, and Holly joins the confrontation. Krog, now in his Puma form, manages to throw Derrick out of the truck. At that moment, Andrew intervenes, removes the logs blocking the wheels, and the truck begins to move. Krog realizes that Andrew is allowing the logs to fall. Feeling betrayed, Andrew turns on Krog, and the two begin to fight. Suddenly, Krog notices the logs rolling down the cliff, heading straight toward the valley where his family is. He immediately stops fighting and runs toward them. The logs crash down the mountainside with force. Anna urgently tells everyone to take cover, but Melody does not hear her because she is wearing headphones. By the time Melody notices, it is too late. The logs are already approaching. She screams. At the last moment, Krog, still in his Puma form, leaps forward and pushes her out of harm's way. Anna rushes to Melody and cries in relief upon seeing she is alive. Shaken, Melody says a Puma saved her, while her father insists she must have imagined it. Shortly after, Lou and the others find Krog lying unconscious in the forest. For a brief moment, they fear the worst. Then the large cat opens his eyes, and everyone breathes a sigh of relief. Once he regains his strength, Krog rushes to check on his family. That is when Andrew appears, claiming he arrived just in time. He quickly arranges for a helicopter to transport the family to the hospital. Fortunately, they all survive. Once his parents are safe, Krog becomes furious. He threatens to inform the headmistress that Andrew is responsible for the attacks. Andrew then reveals a disturbing truth: he has located Krog's real family in the Yellowstone Mountains, and he will only disclose their location if Krog agrees to stay silent. At that moment, Lisa arrives. Andrew shifts the blame onto Derek, claiming he orchestrated the attack. Lisa remains unconvinced, but police sirens are approaching. She leaves, promising a full investigation. Back at the school, Krog and his friends are welcomed as heroes. Word of their actions spreads widely, but behind the celebration, Krog understands that the conflict is far from over. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe to Next Prime Recap and share your thoughts about the movie in the comments.
Jack Stone. These prisoners are animals. And there's you, right in the middle of it all. You hear that?